Or almost all of my Gmail accounts have been hacked. How would you get hacked? I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. Yeah, if I'm not messaging you via phone number, I'm not messaging you. It's not me. Team YouTube is in contact with me. So if this stream goes down, if you wouldn't mind in just spreading the news and getting people to talk about it, because if this hacker's intention is to replace my channel and take it for their own, I don't want them to have that satisfaction. They're not getting this fucking channel. I worked so goddamn hard here. This is again my life's work. So I got hacked. It feels like the whole community was talking about it, which, you know, wasn't what I was hoping for, but ended up helping out in the long run. Yes, I just want to talk about it a bit. I want to explain what happened, how it happened, and what you can do to prevent something like this from happening in the future, because I fell for a scam that a lot of YouTubers are falling for at the moment, including Linus Tech Tips. I will say, at the start of this video, if you look at the channel, everything is back to normal, everything is what it should be. I have full access, everything's all resolved, but I just want to give context and explain what happened so that you can learn from my mistake. Now, I am slightly embarrassed by it, but if I were to just keep this to myself, I don't think that would do any help, even though I'm sure if you researched it, you could pretty easily find out what happened. But the unique thing with my situation is that for other YouTubers, it feels like the situation gets resolved for them in a matter of days, a week at most, right? For me, it was a matter of 12 hours. So I consider myself to be very lucky, and I want to explain why I think it got resolved so quickly. But I had no idea who was hacking my account at the time that stream was going on. You know, I was preparing for worst case scenario. For all I know, you know, my life could have been in complete jeopardy. So I was reasonably panicking. So to summarize for everyone who wasn't there for the stream, essentially what happened was, you know, I started streaming what the title said was Stuntman 3 production. And everyone joined the stream, initially wondering what the fuck was going on. I wasn't explaining anything. Eventually I put text up there saying that I was hacked. The reason I was streaming was just to get attention on it. You know, if my stream got taken down and my Twitch got taken down, then at least if someone was recording the stream and they uploaded it externally to, you know, outside of the hacker's powers, then I would have evidence of this happening, so I could have more evidence to get my channel back. So it was a regular day of work. I work for Alan Becker as his production manager full-time. And about halfway through my workday, I had already woken up really early on that day to meet with someone who lived on the other side of the world and have a discussion with them about something related to the team. And eventually I went to break, and I started watching this video that got me inspired about making music. I was like, I had this song that I want to make. I'm going to continue writing the lyrics for it, and maybe I'll stream myself in the production of it. That sounds kind of fun, right? And then I noticed when I was trying to open the Google document for it that I had to re-sign in. You know, quickly afterward, I had noticed that I was signed out of all 6 of my emails. The only emails that I have, all 6 of them, including the shitpost one for Meme Dream. But they got access to all of my emails, and I noticed that I was logged out of all of them on every single device. So on my phone, I couldn't log into anything. On my computer, my laptop, 2 of my tablets, even my second phone that I don't use anymore. I couldn't do anything on that one either. So I started to panic, as I feel a normal person would do. And I called my sister, who helps out with the channel, more behind the scenes. And, you know, we tried discussing ideas of how to get things fixed up. We discovered that I had absolutely no way of getting access to my main account. Somehow, some way, this hijacker had removed my phone number and my secondary email and 2-factor authentication from my primary email address. I don't know how the fuck they did it at the time. I know now, but I was freaked out. I was like, how did this go under the radar? I didn't get any notification that this was happening. So shortly after we realized that I couldn't do anything on that main account, I was like, okay, let me open up OBS and I'll see if I can still live stream on my channel and on my Twitch. Because at that moment, I had assumed that, like, you know, I know that I have no access to the email connected to my YouTube, but do I have access to the Twitch? And I successfully started streaming on both. So and this was good, because as I said earlier, this proves as a point of evidence that this is happening and that I have lost control. So I would constantly be updating the stream on what was happening. So throughout the stream, especially near the beginning, you can see me just panicking, trying to think of everything possible, trying to get as much control as I could. And I'd say maybe 2 or 3 hours in, I regained access to 5 of the 6 emails. The only email that I didn't regain access to was the main email with my YouTube channel, and that also had access to my Discord account. And now I was initially thinking that this wasn't much of an issue for Discord especially. I'd already been talking with YouTube, and they were being really supportive. They were quick to respond on Twitter, to my surprise. It didn't take a lot of people nagging on YouTube for them to actually respond. They were pretty well on top of it. So thank you, YouTube, for responding surprisingly fast. Discord, on the other hand, was not as helpful. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm still kind of mad at them for this. So even though I have 2-factor authentication enabled on my Discord, as I think anyone who's, half of their life is reliant on the communication based on Discord, and now that was compromised. So I thought, okay, well, I still have access to Discord for the time being. They haven't kicked me from that. They haven't reset the password for Discord or anything like that. I could just change the email and redirect it to one of the secure emails, as I had already done at that point for as many other accounts that I had access to. When it was time for me to reassign the email on Discord, it told me that it was going to send a verification email to the email that's currently compromised and that I have no access to. Even though I still had 2-factor authentication enabled and I had a phone number connected to the account that I 100% had access to and was not compromised, for some reason it wanted to send a verification email to the email that I don't have access to, which to me is pretty stupid. I was like, okay, maybe they don't run into this issue too often. Usually if you want to switch an email, you likely already have access to the other email. This is pretty easy to swap, right? No. My sister, midway through the stream, had told me to try and contact Discord. I looked for a business phone number. They didn't have anything. And they essentially told me to open a support ticket. So I went to their website and I put in a support ticket and I asked, hey, this is the situation. Is there a way to get around resending a verification to the compromised email? Is there a way around this? Can you help me out here? I can provide evidence and whatever. And what they emailed back was essentially, oh no, you don't have access to that email? That kind of sucks. It seems like you're gonna have to talk to Google to get your account. Oh, they're being slow at it. That's a real shame. We can't do anything. Suffice to say, I was pretty pissed that they were just they didn't give a shit, essentially. So eventually, after I learned that I had no control over that, even before that, I was telling people from the stream to support the activity on Twitter and let people know on Discord, because at this point I still didn't really know what the hackers' intentions were. So for all I know, they could just be trying to scam and collect as much information from everyone as much as possible. Just in case that this was what was happening, I had people ban me from their Discord servers, tell as many people as necessary to not accept any messages from me. I had contacted Alan, my boss, earlier that day, letting him know to only communicate with me through phone number, otherwise to not respond to my Discord messages. And then for the the big Discord servers that I owned, I had transferred ownership to people that I trust, and whenever this was all over, I would have them transfer that ownership back to me. So pretty much after I learned I couldn't do anything on Discord, I decided shortly after to end the stream. And at this point, I was fairly certain that I knew that it was a crypto scam, but I just wasn't 100% sure. About half an hour to an hour after I ended the stream, though, they very quickly took action. They replaced my profile picture with a Tesla logo. They replaced my banner with a Tesla car driving over a hill or something. They changed the tag. They privated every single one of my videos. They removed everything on my homepage, removed all the channels that I was affiliated with, removed everything on my About section, and then they started live streaming that little Tesla thing that you've probably seen by now. It's been going around for the last few weeks. If you've heard of Linus Tech Tips, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the same exact thing that happened to them was the same exact thing that happened to me. I got a sponsorship email on my business email, and it looked really legit. And there was really not a good way for me to tell that it was a scam. It looked like a legit offer, and I've gotten legit offers like it before, and I usually turn them down because they don't share. I don't usually have a reason to have that sponsor for my demographic, but this exact kind of sponsor was pretty spot on with what I wanted. And they had a PDF file attached to the email, so I opened it up and I looked through it. So opening this PDF file essentially allowed them to copy all the security keys from my computer, so it would cause no red flags and wouldn't alert me of anything, which is how I wasn't aware of it. It would copy passwords, data, usernames, emails, everything. Apparently all that they wanted really was access to the main email. They didn't really try to protect the other emails that I had access to, thankfully. But at the time I didn't know, so I was just trying to think of absolutely everything. But thankfully, because I took the right steps of action, and because also YouTube was very fast to act on this, thankfully, we were able to pretty much shut everything down, and they were barely able to do anything. They only got maybe an hour and a half total of streaming on my channel at most. They weren't able to do a whole lot outside of that. But even that could be enough time to trick someone into their crypto scheme. But I got this all figured out and back under my control entirely within the matter of 12 hours, half a day. And that, I think, is unheard of here on YouTube. So I want to share the steps that I took to ensure that this got solved as fast as possible, so that hopefully if this happens to you, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does happen to you, then you know what steps to take. So there's a few basic rules that you should take if something like this does happen to you. Before any of this, just keep an eye out on your emails. Even if everything looks super legit, do not trust any links or any files attached to this email. If you ever feel uncomfortable with it, you can either not respond or you can ask for verification that this is the legit company, whether by reaching out to the company's email, official email, which should be posted publicly. You can email them or you can respond to that email. I wouldn't recommend this because they could still fool you. I don't know how, but it's possible. But you could also email the scammer back and ask for some sort of verification that they do work for that company and they're not just trying to hack you. Again, I would encourage emailing the company themselves to verify, because that is the most solid form of evidence that you can get. But if it is a very good trick, I wouldn't have expected a PDF to end up taking over my channel, and I don't expect you to constantly be looking through everything, be completely paranoid, but in this day and age, it's 2023. The internet is very powerful, and these people can have a powerful sense of anonymity. If you have not emailed that person before, you should be researching this email to make sure that they're not out to get you and that they're not linked or affiliated with any suspicious activity, or if anything looks suspicious and you're just not quite sure, just assign that as a red flag immediately. But if you do happen to get your account hacked and you do fall for it, don't feel bad. These are very tricky people. So the first few very important rules is to take action quickly, stay calm, do not send any re-verification emails to the email address that is currently compromised, for example, Discord, and do not try to recover any information or reset any information from the computer that your account has been compromised from. Now, for me, the most likely candidate, and I couldn't prove this because I wasn't sure what I was hacked from at the moment, but it was pretty safe to assume that it was my main PC for everything, for work, animation, live streaming, everything. So I had, at this point, the only thing that I was doing on my computer was streaming, and that was it. So now that you know the rules, let me tell you the steps that I took to ensure my safety all around and ensure the safeties of people around me that could also be affected. First and foremost, if you have an email that is not hijacked, that you know is secure, try and reroute as many passwords to that email as possible. And if it is an account that is really important and you're worried that a verification email will be sent back to the email that you don't have control of, do not risk it, because they can permanently lock you out of that account and change all the information there. Of course, in doing this, change as many passwords as you can, because they can still have that information. Change as many usernames if that's possible. If it's not social media branding and if it's just attached to the email, change the email, redirect the email. The next step that I took was ensuring that all of my private information was safe, including stuff related to my work. So one of the first things that I did was I messaged Alan and I let him know what was happening and to only contact me via phone number. At this point, my sister already knew and she already has attachment to the channel. I was already live streaming at this point, which gave me power to tell my audience and my friends who I know through my content to not contact me. And anyone else in my family who may have had access to that email, I let them know immediately. Then other secure information I would tackle was, if I had any credit or debit card information linked to any of those accounts, I had called my bank and I had them cancel those cards immediately. Any other information like that you want to get as secure as possible. The next step is to over the accounts that you do have control of, make sure that you have two-factor authentication enabled on all of your emails. Make sure you have your phone number attached and you have a backup email to an email, ideally not even linked to the same server as Gmail, because then you always have a backdoor back in, right? Another thing that I did was I was tracking the activity of these emails. I also went to the devices, and if there was any new device that I wasn't familiar with, even if it could have been a device that wasn't on my current section, I pretty much removed all of the devices off of that list. Pretty much for the rest of the night, I was refreshing each email, all 5 of my emails, checking to see if there was new activity on any of them, and I kept track of changes that I was making and when I was making them so that I was sure I was the one making those changes. Now, unfortunately, if you're in my specific situation where it's your YouTube channel is being compromised, and like Linus Tech Tips, you didn't know this until they already had full access to your channel and are already streaming. They've already rebranded everything, they removed everything, and they already have a live stream going on your account. Unfortunately, I think the best preventative measure is to just be there before anything happens. I was lucky enough that I noticed the very second that they started to try and change shit. They locked me out of all of my emails, and as soon as I noticed that, that's the very moment that I started to take action. And that, unfortunately, is just chance. I happened to be working and awake at my time. I happened to be close to my technology. If I was not close to my technology, say I had a physical job still, or I was in school, I was anywhere not near any good service, then I would have had to wait, and the situation would have gotten worse, and it would have taken a lot longer for things to get fixed. But because I was on it as soon as I could, pretty much as soon as it happened, I think that is a big reason why it got solved so fast. For a lot of people, I assume that this sort of thing happens in the middle of the night for them so that they can change everything and you won't even notice because you're passed out. But the first thing that you should check, and I learned that this ended up being incredibly important and very helpful, is if you can still stream on either Twitch or YouTube or any platform related to your branding and you had access to it, stream. Go ahead and stream immediately, because that there is going to be just a pool of evidence. If anything happens, then you have hours worth of context to provide. That stream was easily the strongest thing that I had going, and I was personally shocked that they didn't shut down that stream as soon as they could, because they let that run on my YouTube channel for over 4.5 hours. They removed it from my YouTube channel when YouTube recovered my account, but you can still see the full stream on Twitch. While I was also streaming, I have connections. This is another kind of luck thing. If you don't know a lot of people, if you don't have a really diehard fan base, then it's going to be really difficult to get people to back you up and really try and keep the pressure on YouTube for fixing this sort of thing. Thankfully for me, YouTube was very fast to respond, and I assume that's because they've been getting a lot of these reports recently, so they're very alert of what's going on, and they're trying to figure out how to stop it. I think that plays a large factor into why my account got recovered so quickly. Emailing them back and forth, making sure, putting pressure on them. So from here on, I can't really recommend anything else other than just trying to stay on top of as many things as you can. Thankfully, I was able to minimize the hackers' impact on my channel. Of course, all of my videos were privated. Thankfully, they were just privated and not completely removed. But they were privated, and I didn't have a Crank Gameplays incident where I updated all the videos and it notified everyone of over 300 videos that are now on my channel. But again, the live stream is what was scaring them off. Because the very moment that I stopped streaming is the very moment that they started to take action and replace everything. Even though I wasn't streaming on YouTube, I was still streaming on my Twitch, and my community was very actively looking at everything, refreshing the pages, updating me on what was happening. So as soon as they saw that I was letting my guard down and I was removing myself from the situation for the time being, they knew that that was the time to strike. But by then, I had already taken so many preventative measures and so many courses of action to prevent them from doing as much as they can. And again, they were only able to stream for an hour and a half at most, maybe 2 hours. I had successfully minimized the impact that they had on my channel as much as I possibly could. Now, thankfully, in a weird way, the only goal of these hackers is to get access to your YouTube channel and stream a scam. That's all that they really want to do, and they want to be able to prevent you from stopping them, because the longer that they have your number of subscribers and your number of viewers to boost and you know, provide some sort of evidence that it's an official Tesla account or scam account or some shit. You know, that's all that they really care about. At the end of the day, I knew that once I got the account back, they would just be like, all right, they got us here, move on to the next one. We got like a whole list of YouTubers to take over. I was just next in line. I was just unfortunate enough to have fallen for their trick, and you know, they just took advantage of it. They don't care if they ruin your life, and as much as that sucks, at this point, there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. You know, as much as we can do, we can just take preventative measures when we start to notice changes. If it's a crypto scam, I'd still heavily recommend that you try to reset everything that you have so that you don't risk them selling potential information. I spent almost all day the following day of the hack resetting all of my passwords, just resetting everything, making sure I was clean from anything that linked me to any of that previous information. Because even if their goal isn't to go and sell my information, I don't want to take that risk, and I don't think you should either. As much as it is just complete paranoia, I think it's still important to make sure that you lock down all of that sensitive information. If you want to know more information on how this scheme works exactly, you can go watch Linus Tech Tips video. I'll put it in the description of this video. They explain it very, very well, and they even recommend what you should do as on their end. For me, I have taken a lot of preventative measures, and I'm going to be making a lot of changes behind the scenes to ensure that something like this never happens again. And it's a real shame that it took me actually getting hacked and my life possibly being threatened for me to take these actions, but I would heavily recommend that everyone else take these actions as well. You know, and like these hacks don't just happen to YouTubers. These hacks happen to anybody for any reason. As shitty as that is, that's kind of the power that we give these people with the anonymity of the internet. And you know, we can argue that we need this level of anonymity. A lot of people can argue that we don't need this level of anonymity. It's a complicated discussion, and you know, my goal with this video is to just inform you on what happened, and if you're a YouTuber, to look out for this sort of thing. And even if you're not a YouTuber and this isn't a specific hack that relates to you, or even you even qualify for, if you do get hacked, then now you have some information, some steps, some direction to take to ensure that you are as secure as you can be. I mean, the biggest thing that sucks about this whole thing is that you have to be fast. You have to remain as calm and composed as possible. And when your entire life starts crumbling before your eyes, you start to panic. And this sense of panic can be overwhelming, and you can just you'll get the sense to want to take a step back. That's pretty much everything. At the end of this video, I just want to say thank you. Genuinely, thank you to everybody who was supporting. I don't know. Just thanks to everyone who was involved in this in any way, whether it be self-inflicted or you just happened to have to be involved in it. You know, it really reaffirmed me in knowing that I have a very, very strong and passionate community that cares a lot about me. And that, you know, I've been struggling with imposter syndrome for a bit, so this definitely took that down a notch. I do feel bad making everyone pretty much panic and worry that this was happening to me. I didn't want everyone to know that I was getting hacked, but for the safety of everyone else, you know, my Discord could have been compromised, so I feel like I had to do it, you know. It was a very scary day for me. I'm not gonna lie. After the stream, I did break down crying for a bit. It was very, very sad. And just seeing the updates to my channel being made and just watching my life's work crumble before my very eyes, that was mentally scarring. I guess, as ridiculous as that sounds for YouTube, this is my life's work. This is my passion. I love doing this sort of stuff. So to see all of it just start to crumble before me, and I was completely powerless at that point, it was heartbreaking. But it was one hell of an experience. But again, thank you all for helping. I hope this video helped you in understanding what steps to take if you get hacked, and especially of this very particular scam. If you're a YouTuber that could be susceptible to this sort of thing, really keep an eye out for it. Do not trust your emails, and just stay safe. I appreciate you all for taking the time to watch this video. Spread this around if you want. You know, I've already made this a bigger deal than I really wanted it to be, but I couldn't have done any of this without you guys, and I want to make sure that you're all safe as well by knowing my mistakes. So I appreciate it. I will be continuing my content as soon as possible. I just have a few more things I needed to take care of. It sent me back on progress a bit. But I'm still working on Stuntman 3. I'm still working on the movie. And I will be continuing streaming on Monday. I don't know when this video is going to get released. At this moment, it's like late afternoon on Sunday. So I don't know how fast this is going to take for me to edit this thing. But if you see this before the stream, you can expect me to get back to a somewhat decent schedule. So thank you all for watching. I suppose I'll just see you whenever I see you. So thanks.